They have Cabbage Patch Kid
Show that.
I've seen them.
No, they don't.
I saw them at the store.
That's the worst.
They sell preemie toys.
They sell preemie Cabbage Patch babies.
All right,
They have babies with like John and stuff too.
We are filming.
We are? Whoops. Uh-oh.
This is a good intro.
Welcome to the final episode of KORRACAST. Today's topic, Cabbage Patch preemie dolls. Okay, hey, alright.
We did it.
We did it!
We did it.
Oh, we have an episode left.
So let's not celebrate.
Look, I'm just saying we got to the end of Korra.
Preemie journey.
Oh, okay, Korra.
We got to the end of Korra. We're there. We watched all 52 episodes.
Did anybody think that we would still be in the stupid garage filming this show after 52
I
episodes?
assumed we'd be in Nick's studios with our own offices by now.
Oh, we're failures. So, we've said it before, we'll say it again. Yum Chunks is continuing into the future after KORRACAST is over. We'll still be doing KORRACASTs for the comics. We never finished the Rift. Avatar Smoke and Shadows coming up. We'll review that at some point when we feel like it. We're also going to be going back to doing movie reviews on 4 Reels. Someone please watch it. And in case any of you guys haven't, seen it, we announced my new project, Mouseology. It's a brand new show about Disney. It's not going to be a talk show, it's going to be a little bit different, but we put the pilot episode up, so go check it out. That's going to be starting in the new year, so there'll be links to everything somewhere. Click on them and stick with us, because there's a whole new another year of Yum Chunks coming down the pipeline. Cramming some chunks down your...
All you chunkers here.
Listen here, chunkers, we're cramming some chunks down your chunk hole. Saturday the 27th.
Saturday the
27th, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. Somebody tell them about what's going to happen on that live stream.
We're gonna talk about Korra. Well, we're gonna talk about Korra. We're gonna have some special guests, possibly someone who even worked on the show.
Yeah, we are.
We're gonna have someone who's worked on the show. We can tell you who it is, but we'll just leave it to be a surprise.
It's not Mike or Brian.
It's Mike and Brian.
Or one of the voice actors. No, it is one of the voice actors.
Yeah, one of the most important voice actors, okay?
It's Sean Genka, he's production manager. Sean Genka, the production manager of Legend of Korra, is coming. He's going to be on our show.
One of the production
we have kidnapped someone from Legend of Korra. He's going to be on our set, talking to you and us live, so tune in. It's going to be a big party. Bring a food. It's a potluck. Bring a dish.
Enough for people to share.
First and foremost, most awesome battle in all of Avatar sagas.
I think that's possible.
All time.
I wasn't here last week for KORRACAST, but I did watch it. But I remember you guys brought up that you didn't want it to be just another giant versus giant battle or something that we hadn't seen. I thought that this was very creative and unique.
I disagree with you that it was the best battle that we've seen in Avatar. I think the thing I appreciated the most about it was that it was different.
Yeah.
It could have been trying to be like the book 2 finale of Korra. It was like, Republic City, we got a crazy war going on, we gotta make it big and epic and awesome, but it was much more subdued, and I appreciated that.
It could have been trying to be Sozin's Comet.
Yeah.
It could have been trying to be... To me, it felt like it wasn't trying to be anything but what it was.
But I would not use the word subdued for any part of that conflict. That was they destroyed all of Republic City.
Maybe that it focused more on the characters. Like, sure, Kuvera had a giant robot, but it had nothing to do with that. It was more about, you know, the internal conflicts going on between Kuvera and Korra,
Yeah,
right?
Lin and Sue working together. Bolin and Mako working together.
Right.
Having their last little moments. It was all about little moments, I thought.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as much as there was a giant robot, it didn't feel like the same scale as Ozai or season 2 finale, because we knew there was an army, but they didn't really do anything, and we didn't even see Iroh. Like, what happened to the Republic Armed Forces? So there wasn't maybe that scale, and I did really like the battle. I thought it was fun and everything, and I think also just kind of was cool, exemplified. I mean, it was one solitary force, and how they brought it down was everyone was using what Republic City stands for, is everyone working together and stuff, doing their own different types of things.
And one of the things that I appreciated about the fight that happens between Korra and Kuvera is the fact that when they first fought, it was just a giant open field. The scale was as big as you wanted to make it. This fight, they're stuck in the quarters of the robot. So the fight is so much more interesting, and you have to...
It's intimate.
Yeah, it's intimate.
It's about them.
You would not expect the final fight between two characters to happen in a place like that.
Right. the whole thing felt very comic booky to me, very superhero-y, which I have mentioned this before in regards to book 4, but this season felt like a return to what the initial promise of what Korra was going to be, which was an Avatar universe version of like Batman or superhero in Republic City, you know, but with bending and that kind of thing. It feels like everything came full circle, not just in the story, which we'll talk about later, but just in the tone and what was going on.
We're talking about the fight there in the cockpit with Kuvera and Korra. What I thought was really interesting about that fight is that I never really did feel that Korra bested her. I don't know, what do you guys think? If you rewatch that fight, I really feel like she got in more blows. She was tossing around Korra a lot more than Korra was doing things to her.
I don't think that she bested her. I do agree that Korra didn't necessarily win the fight in terms of that fight in the cockpit. But I don't think I would have said Kuvera won the fight either.
You were saying that you think that Kuvera won, you're saying that you don't think anyone won. I fall more towards the idea that nobody won the physical battle.
Well, yeah.
But I think if we're talking about Korra's victory, it was her forgiveness. It was her saving Kuvera's life from the giant laser in the woods.
Well, I think what was so brilliant about it is because the whole season we've been talking, or at least I have felt that Kuvera was just not a very empathetic villain. That she didn't compare it to some other villains, and she was just a monster. She was an Ozai. Yeah. And I still have some, you know, kind of misgivings about it. But what was so brilliant with the ending is basically Korra, she said, he's like, I was able to empathize with you. Right. Basically, empathize with the monster. And in so doing, to a certain extent, allowing the audience to like, oh, I actually, now we kind of feel for Kuvera and we understand. And that ultimately is what the victory was. And I think it's really important. Kuvera says at the very end, when her forces like stand down, she saved my life. That's exactly what won the battle. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't. It was Korra sacrificing herself, or Korra protecting her to save her life.
Right. She didn't beat her. She saved her, and that was the victory.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you.
Good.
She serves more as a mirror, as a bouncing point for Korra.
And another thing that I appreciated about that scene was Kuvera. After that happened, she tried to make amends. She tried to make amends with Sue, and one of the things that I love about that is that Sue didn't forgive her. Sue was just like, you're just gonna be locked up forever. I'm not forgiving you, and you'd expect a scene like that to be like, you know what, Kuvera, we had some rough times. You imprisoned me in a big metal suit. I'm like, we're okay. But
no, I like that
Kuvera tried to kill her son. She tried to kill all of the Bayfongs. Yeah. I mean, and Sue didn't forgive her.
I think there was that moment in the back of your mind where I watched like, oh God, please don't say, it's alright, Kuvera, we'll build it back together. But when she did, it was like, oh yeah, good.
You're going to jail. You're going to hang for this. So you can't get away with it. She's like, I will accept whatever punishment you bestow on me. You're death. But can I take it back?
I mean, I think it's also important too because she hadn't physically lost the battle. That's why I think it's important that it's her willingly giving up. It wasn't because the army could have kept fighting. The army was still there. She was still I mean, she was out, but she was still fighting Korra. Which
I mean, you would think that when they blew up the robot, Kuvera, you know, a sane person would be like, oh, well, I lost, but she kept fighting. Yeah. All the way up until she had a change of heart, that Korra was responsible for.
Right. And we know that she could have had she not had that talk with Korra, because we see she's not willing to give up for anything. Right. I love when she rips off the arm of the robot.
That is pretty sweet.
I know, because she's so into like, well, F it, whatever, I'm still gonna keep going.
Well, she sacrificed her boyfriend.
She's so determined she won't stop at anything.
Fight your face.
I guess I appreciate it. She didn't sacrifice her army. That's a good thing. She didn't like, I'm gonna kill, because it would have countered everything that she's done so far. I mean, when she said like, soldiers, I wouldn't do anything that I'm not ready, that I wouldn't have you do anything that I'm not ready to do myself, when she's fighting Korra.
But you know, right. But one thing about her army, because I was expecting them to be in it a little bit more. I mean, they disabled that one little troop, but she obviously had a lot more. Yeah. I was expecting the laser beam, like when she's like, they're tricking her to. I was like, it was gonna zap one of her like entire platoon of her army, like, ooh, oops. Right?
I mean, it was fun. There was a couple of shots though, where it's just like, oh, the entire skyline's dead. All right.
Oh, yeah, very, very early in that fight. Yeah. Like, oh, all of Republic City has just been destroyed. It was Man of Steel level destruction, like going into the beginning of this fight. Like pretty early in that climax, I was like, the city's not going to be standing by the end of this. There's no way.
No.
Getting into the kind of the rest of the characters.
I mean, this was a finale to the series and not just the season. How do you guys feel about this being the end of everything?
I think it's interesting to note some of the things they didn't bring. So a couple things we talked about. one, Toph never came back. That wasn't a surprise to a lot of them, but some people I think maybe thought Toph would come.
Yeah.
The spirits really didn't play a big role in the ending.
They didn't.
They didn't
And I
have
was
a
expecting
fight
it.
on
I thought
Korra's
everyone was
side.
expecting
You know,
it
there
to,
was
right.
nothing like that. The Fire Nation. We never got any others.
No, right, yeah. And there's a lot of people that are like I think a lot of people on the internet, based on comments I've read, were expecting to see like some kind of like, oh, Katara, Zuko, and Toph are back as the White Lotus members, and
how's it
like,
going?
yeah, and like, and I think. I mean, I attribute that to I just think a lot of people are still too hung up on the past show and wanted to see their old favorite characters, and we've talked about how this is about the next generation.
Yeah,
so
You're right. It's
yeah.
just, I can understand where they're coming from though, especially with the way book 1 of Korra started. I mean, we had all of those like little flashbacks to all the gang, and it was just like, okay, this is just book 1, and we're already getting this.
Right.
What does this mean for the rest of the series?
Well,
And
see,
your expectations just shoot through.
I could see how that would bolster someone's expectations, but at the same time, I can also see how, as a creator of a show, that at the time you only think you have one season, you know that you gotta make a new story, but also make it a sequel to Avatar. You gotta do as much of those little winks, nods, because people are gonna be expecting it. And I could see, you know, being a creator, being like, oh, well, we already did the fan service, and now we have 3 more seasons to tell us a unique story that we want to tell with these new characters. So I'm kind of glad that they followed more the path of let's focus on what's important.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that there was, in the final episodes, there was no characters from the previous series. There was nothing that had to do with their story. There was nothing related.
Yeah, this was all about Korra as a story, and that's what I think I really like about it. You know, I could see being sad about not seeing your favorites again, but you have 3 books of Avatar to spend with those characters, and more comics that are coming, and you know.
What else? There's a couple other things I felt like.
I thought Lynn maybe. I thought she something final with her, because you see her in like the final party, she's just kind of sulking. It's like, oh, she doesn't like, and I actually did really like that too. That the fact that they didn't give her some little like cheery note.
No, I mean,
like,
well, you got a little bit. I liked that. Her fighting alongside her sister was like, we already kind of had their final resolution, but this was their like, look, if you think back as to where her and her sister were earlier in the series, like they've come so far, and now the fact that they are tight, they are together, they are sisters. To me, that would be enough resolution. But then at the very end, during Varric and Julie's wedding, you see them sitting together, and Lynn is smiling, and she's not wearing her police uniform for the first time in the entire series. She's wearing a dress. Like okay, Lynn is softened. I think we got enough. I got enough. I want to talk about the scene with Mako and Bolin.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about that? Well, because I thought he was gonna die.
I didn't think he was gonna die.
I was kind of because they had already killed off Hiroshi. I kind of thought they weren't going to. But I think I really like that scene anyway, though. I thought that scene was amazing.
The animation is fantastic. The music, just the way that it plays out.
Also, we didn't really get a lot of resolution. Like a couple characters who we didn't get anything with Bolin at the wedding. You know what I mean? There was no. But we got a resolution to his character, or in that scene, I thought. Because then again, it goes back to kind of all these new younger generation taken up. I mean, with Wu now is and Mako is basically saying that thing like. I'm always going to be that guy. I'm always going to try to be that hero guy. I'm always going to be him. And that's who I am. And being comfortable with that, and not only that, but Bolin accepting that. But not just that, but realizing like, okay, Mako, you're going to be that guy. I'm going to let you be that guy. That's who you are. But that means I'm always going to be to back you up. And that to me was, just like,
it was such a great moment. So and I think their characters being brothers, I think that's the best way you could do a brother moment. Like that says what they are, what their relationship is. That
was maybe one of my favorite scenes of the whole finale.
I mean, for anyone who says that it's kind of like a cop-out that Mako didn't die, he was going in there with every intention of sacrificing.
He was. I don't think he thought he was going to come out of that alive. You know, and I think to an extent maybe Bolin knew that too. And of course,
Bolin was came back for him. Of course, he knows his brother well enough to know that he's going to stay there and do whatever it takes to make that.
Regardless of whether Mako survived, Mako sacrificed himself. He made the choice, and man,
I want to say this to wrap up all the character things that we were talking about. This was the first finale, right? That Korra like resolved things on her own, right? She did it with her own because of her own personal strength instead of getting help from past avatars, getting help from spirits, Janora, something like that. She did this on her own. It was her own personal growth throughout the series that led to changing Kuvera.
And she did it through talking, which is not something that we could have seen Korra do in season 1 or 2.
So really, I mean, and you brought this up throughout a season, this like what ultimately has changed is the whole point of like a series, really, from beginning to end. There couldn't have been a bigger change to see Korra at the end of the series right now than where she was at the beginning. So I mean, that's what you want, right? I mean, you have to appreciate that.